In what can only be described as one of the most harrowing and heartbreaking chapters in modern U.S. military history, June 28, 2005, marked a brutal turning point deep in the unforgiving terrain of Afghanistan's Hindu Kush Mountains. At an altitude hovering around 10,000 feet, 4 Navy SEALs found themselves fighting for survival during a reconnaissance mission that quickly descended into chaos. The men, Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy, gunner's mate 2nd Class Danny Dietz, sonar technician 2nd Class Matthew Axelson, and hospital corpsman 2nd Class Marcus Luttrell, were tasked with a high-value operation to locate and gather intelligence on a dangerous insurgent leader, Ahmad Shah. Operating behind enemy lines east of Asadabad in the rugged Kunar province, the SEAL team was conducting surveillance on Shah, a local warlord and Taliban ally who commanded a militia group feared by Afghan civilians and known among themselves as the Mountain Tigers. Under the alias Muhammad Ismail, Shah had long been operating in these steep slopes and narrow valleys, territory he knew like the back of his hand. But what none of these elite operators could have predicted was just how swiftly their mission would unravel into one of the deadliest days in the history of U.S. Special Operations. It all began when the SEAL team was compromised, spotted by local goat herders who wandered into their hidden position. Adhering to the rules of engagement, the team made the difficult decision to let the civilians go, fully aware that they were likely walking straight to the Taliban. Within the hour, an overwhelming enemy force, estimated at over 50 fighters, descended upon the team with lethal precision. What unfolded next was a relentless firefight on a near vertical slope. The SEALs were pinned down, facing an enemy with superior numbers, tactical positioning, and an intimate knowledge of the terrain. The assault came from 3 sides, effectively surrounding the SEALs, who, despite their training and resilience, were left with no easy escape. Under constant fire and with no communication link to headquarters, the 4 SEALs began hurling themselves down the rocky mountain face, dropping 20 to 30 feet at a time in a desperate attempt to escape the kill zone. Danny Dietz, the team's communications specialist, took a critical hit to his hand while attempting to get a distress signal through. The bullet shattered his thumb, rendering the task nearly impossible. And yet, amid the chaos, one man did what few would even consider. Lieutenant Michael Murphy made the ultimate decision to break cover in order to get a signal out. With complete disregard for his own safety, Murphy exposed himself to enemy fire by moving into open terrain, just enough to establish contact with Bagram Air Base. Under a hailstorm of bullets, he calmly relayed their position, gave an estimate of the enemy's strength, and requested immediate support. He was shot in the back during the call, dropping the transmitter, but even then, he picked it back up, finished the communication, and returned to the fight. That single act of defiance and leadership, carried out while mortally wounded, may have changed everything. Murphy's call triggered the launch of a quick reaction force, which included a Chinook helicopter carrying 8 more Navy SEALs and 8 Army Night Stalkers. Their mission was clear: extract the 4 SEALs still locked in a fight for their lives. But fate dealt yet another cruel hand. The MH-47 Chinook, heavy with the weight of hope and reinforcements, raced toward the battle zone. However, due to their speed, the Chinook arrived ahead of its attack helicopter escorts, entering hot territory without cover. And in broad daylight, the rescue team pushed forward knowing exactly what was at stake. They understood the suicidal nature of the mission, but they also knew their brothers were bleeding out on a mountainside. As the Chinook approached, a rocket-propelled grenade found its mark. The helicopter was struck mid-air and exploded in a fireball, killing all 16 men on board instantly. It was a catastrophic loss. The mission, meant to save lives, had become the deadliest single day for U.S. naval special warfare since World War II, and one of the darkest moments in Operation Enduring Freedom. Back on the ground, the original SEAL team, already depleted, was still fighting. Outnumbered, outgunned, and out of ammunition, Murphy, Dietz, and Axelson were eventually killed after nearly 2 hours of brutal close-quarters combat. Despite severe injuries, the lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell, was blown off a cliff by an RPG blast. Knocked unconscious and riddled with injuries, shrapnel in his legs, a bullet in one, 3 vertebrae cracked. He somehow managed to regain consciousness and begin crawling for his life. With nothing but sheer willpower and his training to guide him, Luttrell traveled over 7 miles, evading enemy patrols and resisting the urge to give in. Dehydrated, exhausted, and on the verge of collapse, Luttrell was eventually discovered by local villagers. Pashtun tribesmen who adhered to an ancient code of honor known as Pashtunwali, which dictates protection for those in need. The villagers defied the Taliban, who arrived multiple times demanding Luttrell's surrender. Despite knowing that harboring an American would put their lives in grave danger, the villagers kept their promise. One of them, risking everything, trekked for hours to reach a Marine outpost with a note from Luttrell. That note set into motion a massive rescue operation. On July 2nd, after nearly 4 days in the wilderness, evading Taliban fighters and surviving through pain most can't imagine, Luttrell was finally extracted by U.S. forces. The cost of Operation Red Wings was enormous. 19 American lives were lost, 3 SEALs on the ground, and 16 more in the rescue attempt. But the legacy of their courage lives on far beyond the mountains where they fell. Lieutenant Murphy was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroism, the first member of the U.S. Navy to receive the award since the Vietnam War. Dietz and Axelson received the Navy Cross, while Luttrell was awarded the Navy Cross for his actions during and after the firefight. But beyond the medals and citations lies something even more powerful, a lesson in loyalty, sacrifice, and brotherhood. These men didn't just follow orders, they wrote a new definition of valor. In a world increasingly driven by self-interest and convenience, their story stands as a stark reminder of what it truly means to serve, to fight, and, if necessary, to give everything for the man beside you. To this day, Operation Red Wings resonates not just with military personnel, but with anyone who values integrity, courage, and honor. The story has been immortalized in the best-selling book Lone Survivor and a major motion picture, but no dramatization can truly capture what was endured in those mountains. This was more than just a battle. It was a moment in which the very soul of the warrior spirit was tested, and through every bullet, every fall, and every heartbeat of that terrible day, the SEALs held the line. The final words go not to politics or war strategies, but to what Lieutenant Murphy once said in a letter to his parents. Sometimes you have to go through hell to find your heaven. He and his brothers did just that, and in doing so, they etched their names forever into the pages of American history. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.